What's up, world? What's up, Facebook Live? Happy Friday. I told you guys I would be back, so just want to wait till a couple people get on. And then I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I think is so exciting, which is funny because I actually felt really nervous today because I was like, this is so exciting. I had this massive download about emotions, which I feel like is really important to talk about because a lot of people have a hard time with emotions. So maybe I should play some music while I wait. Hi, Kevin, how are you? I'm gonna wait for a couple more people and then I'm just going to launch into my rambles because I know you guys love that. Hi, Roman. I just liked one of your pictures today. You take awesome pictures. So Kevin and Roman, how are your Friday feels? Let me know how your flow feels in the comments. Hey, Brian, how are you? I know we've been trying to connect. It's been so crazy. Lori, I miss your gorgeous soul all the way in Canada. How's the weather in Canada, speaking of? Sort of calmed down by now or what? So I'm gonna get started. I wanted to talk about this download I had about emotions because I feel like, you know, I always talk about negative emotions and the negative voice and how we're going to feel that for the rest of our lives because that's part of the human experience. But I want to talk about emotions because emotions are something that we're also going to feel for our entire human experience. And, oh no, the weather's shitty, that sucks, I'm sorry. So emotions are something that most people are scared of, and some of us can face them and some of us don't want to face them. And I think it's important to talk about it because I think that if we look at them differently, we can learn how to surf through them and to free them and to be basically a spiritual badass, which is what I'm all about and why I make my messages to empower other people to see things differently from a different vantage point. So I think through feeling emotions and freeing emotions, I wanted to talk about how we can surrender, how we can have awareness, how we can use transmutation and transference to move through that process. So it's funny about emotions because, you know, we have bad experiences, or at least we think they're bad experiences. We label them with that narrative and we get really scared of feeling. You know, we don't want to feel hurt. We don't want to feel stuff. And it's not so much the emotions that cause problems. It's what happens after we start to realize that we feel something that causes the problem. Because what happens is we start to feel an emotion and then we're like, oh my God, no. And then you start getting really upset. You start getting attached to it. You start, you know, running it around in your mind. The waves start to drift in and it's like, are you going to go under? You're probably going to go under because you're not being aware and you're not surrendering. So you start thinking about something, and you start giving it all this power. Oh my God, why is this happening? Oh my God, this is happening. And you keep building up into your mind like it's a scary movie or something bad that's really going to happen. And we give it all this power and then it basically owns our ass. You know, we start thinking about, you know, at least I know when something happens to me, I'll get triggered and all of a sudden I'll be walking my dog and I'll put my sunglasses on and I'm like, yeah, I'm really in a bad mood. Hurry up, Miles. And yeah, this is bullshit. I'm going to tell everybody I know about what's going on. I'm having a bad day. And we start building this thing up, right, in our head to be like this crazy, crazy big deal. And really, in reality, it's not a big deal. And that's where the problem starts and that's where it continues. So when we build emotions up and we get attached and we start thinking about it and we let our mind basically own our ass, that's when we have problems. And I would say that's like how we live our lives for most of our lives until we sort of awaken and have an awareness. We don't just have like a boom moment where something bad happens and we explode. Well, sometimes we do. But most often there's like a slow progression of the energy moving and our minds moving. And then all of a sudden, we start to realize that, okay, do we want to do this? Do we want to drown or do we want to surf? And so we have to have that awareness to understand that. So we give, you know, a lot of power over to our emotions and then basically they own us and we get really crazy and we start chasing monsters in our head. So understanding to have that awareness through meditation to know, okay, what does my energy feel like? So I woke up this morning and I'm feeling peaceful, but maybe a little bit lower, or maybe today I'm feeling peaceful, but I'm feeling more energetic up here, or maybe I'm feeling not peaceful at all and I'm feeling absolute chaos, like I'm just gonna lose my shit and I'm way up here, or maybe I'm feeling chaotic and depressed and I'm down here and I don't even think like I'll try to fight with anybody or do anything, I'm just really dragging. So when we meditate and we have that awareness to understand what our energy feels like and we're aware of it, we can actually understand, okay, it's starting to shift, and now what can I do about this because I'm aware. But when we're not aware, we're just getting tidal waved, and our ego wants us to feel like we shouldn't feel bad about anything, but that's basically a lie. I mean, the human experience is that we're going to feel a lot of things. That's just the way that it is. Now, what we do after with what we feel is where our power lies, and that's really what we need to consider. So, most of the time when the waves roll in or something happens and we start getting upset, of course we're scared, and of course we're going to attach to it because we're not in our power. We're going to start feeling like we're this little ship in the sea and we're just getting like fucked about, like thrown all around. And yeah, we're scared and we're upset because we want to be peaceful, right? We want to have a good time. We want to feel pleasure, but pain is also part of that. But when we learn to live from our power and to be aware, we actually can transmute that and use transference to release it. So, thinking about and having awareness for what your triggers are. Is there something that you want to have that you see somebody else has that you get jealous about? You need to have a conversation with yourself about that and feel it and free it. What else is triggering you? Are there other things that need to be healed? Because basically, you look on the internet and there's a lot of people pushing buttons and stealing energy and messing with people because, for one, they don't have their own energy. They're not connected to their own source. They're disconnected from themselves, which in turn leads them to be disconnected from the rest of the world and other people, which is sad. And we've all been there. We've all energy, stolen and tried to get more energy because we're not in our power. But if we have awareness and we can practice just witnessing what's happening and being with those feelings, we can be in our power and have non-reaction versus have, chaos and be like, oh shit, I'm just going to tell this person off and be reactive, versus consciously act because we've actually sat with how we feel and we know that our emotions do not own our ass because we're actually in our power. So it's a powerful thing. We really need to think about how we can move through that process and surrender to that. So one of the things that I've learned kind of on my journey, and I've done a lot of soul searching, and I've had a lot of things happen to me. The universe had dealt me cancer. I was in car crashes. I've lost people, all the things that we talk about. Life is hard, and sometimes a lot of stuff happens to you, like bam, 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 and you're thinking to yourself, does the universe have a sense of humor? Because I really feel like, this shit is not funny. And the question isn't whether the universe has a sense of humor. The question is whether you have a sense of humor, because we can take things wherever we want to take them. When things happen, if we don't take it so seriously, we can literally transmute that and bring our vibrational frequency back up. It's like, it's not a big deal. There are certain things that are a huge deal. Like, when we see people suffering, yeah, that's painful and that's going to be hard to process. When we lose somebody or we lose a pet or something really tragic happens, yeah, those are real things that, it's going to take a while to process that and move it through. But having road rage and screaming at people online and getting into it and all that other stuff, it's really not that serious. And when you stop taking it so serious, you literally have way more energy to apply to the things that you want to do and to share that, peace with somebody else. So we really have to think about not being so serious anymore. It's really not. I mean, I like to have a sense of humor and dance around and just be silly because that's how we kind of transmute and move that energy through. So I think the things that I really wanted to talk to are basically, when something happens, being aware of your energy and knowing that, maybe you woke up today and you were sort of low and you were close to the edge and you were ready to fight someone, but you are so aware of your energy, you realize, so you're aware and you know what's happening, and then you can just be with it. When we're not aware, we're really close to losing our temper and to chasing monsters in our own head. And that's what happens in a lot of interactions with people, and then we get in our heads, and sometimes in relationships or connections, we start being like, oh my God, I don't want to feel that, or I don't want to tell that person. And then everyone's like censoring themselves, and there's like literally we're having like this dialogue in our head that doesn't exist, that we're making up, when we could just be truthful and honest and peaceful and say what we need to say and accept what's going to happen. And that's what power is, that non-reaction or speaking your truth. Take a minute when you're feeling angry to be with it. It's so hard. And I know, as like an Aries and used to be type A person, sometimes when I get pissed, I just want to like, flip tables and scream and like tell everybody about it. But instead I'm like, okay, the right thing to do would be to just be with this, take a minute and feel it and free it. So I think in knowing what your energy feels like through meditation, just being aware of what's going on, am I having a peaceful, happy interaction with someone? Am I having not that? Are they out of balance? Am I out of balance? But being aware of what's happening in your life and how you feel. And then basically surrendering. I mean, once you surrender to the process of life, you save a lot more energy for other things. You're calling back a lot more energy just by being aware and also, you know, surrendering to that process. So basically having more quiet faith and more trust in yourself and in what the universe has for you, and replacing that fear with that, you know, that trust, and then just surrendering to that and going with the process. So the next thing would be transmutation, which is basically to change form. So once you feel something and you're aware and then you've surrendered, you're like, okay, let's invite you in. So now maybe I'm pissed off, I'm gonna invite you in. So I'm gonna have, you know, a couple minutes to myself to take a couple of deep breaths and say, okay, I surrender. What's going on? Why am I feeling this way? Have a little chat with yourself, you know, get it organized in your head. Okay, I feel this way, that's fine. You know, so I'm gonna free it. And then once I feel it and free it, you know that you can move forward. And basically, transmutation is when we just start moving that energy. So we're feeling bad. Okay, now that I've accepted it, I've talked about it, you know, we can feel it and free it. Let's basically just dance around in our apartment, and let's be silly with our dog, and let's, you know, take a couple of breaths. Let's go do some yoga. Let's go for a run. Let's watch something funny. Let's, you know, look at jokes, or basically be conscious and be in your power and say, okay, so I felt that already. It may keep like lingering in the room with me. I may keep looking over and see my anger, but I'm in charge. So I'm going to do something to raise my vibrational frequency to where I want it to be. I'm going to think about gratitude. I'm going to think about my amazing job, or my amazing family, or how amazing my life has been, you know, all these people in my life and what's going on, and start raising that energy and feel it moving up through your body. You know, it's absolutely amazing to be able to be in control of your vibration, because when we are at the right vibration and we're happy and we feel peaceful, we're aligned with the vortex. And when we're aligned with the vortex and source energy, we can basically manifest faster. And that's an amazing thing, because we all want to manifest, you know, our life, and we all want to be peaceful and happy. So once we transmute that energy and we move it up, or however we need to move it around to get it back up where it should be, then we can use transference, which is like what it sounds like, transfer it. So after you feel good, get on the phone, call your friend and be like, I love you. I'm so grateful you're in my life, because you never know when someone's going to die or what's going to happen. So speak your truth and call somebody up and talk and laugh, and, you know, put that out in the universe. Talk to your friend, you know, go and do something nice for someone, because it feels so good to just do something nice and then not expect anything in return, and put that love that you've now raised back into your heart space out into the world. Because when we give love and put that out into the world, basically that's going to come back to us, right? Everything we put out in the universe comes back to us, and what we are, we attract. So the more that we can raise our frequency and be in that love space, even if we're hurting, or even if the anger's like hanging out in the corner and you're like, dude, why are you still in the corner? Like, we've already talked about this. Just keep trying to like transmute it and bring it up and make it back into love, because that's what we are at our core, love. So, you know, when we see people and they're really struggling, instead of, you know, getting into that negative energy and fighting with them, just go basically and say, you know what, this person, you know, they need compassion, they need love. Like, I forgive you. I know that you're struggling, because I struggled too. And we need to be able to see that we are other people, that we are one. And so bringing that love back out into the world means that it will come back to us. And also, it's just really amazing to help other people. You know, it's like, yay, team, we're all one. So, you know, that's really what I wanted to say, because I feel like emotions are something that we're going to feel our entire lives. And, you know, we really need to learn how to surf over them. And I think those 4 things can really help: the awareness, the surrender, the transmuting, and then the transference. It's a really good cycle of like understanding how to be aware and to process and to let it go. And if you can't let it go, then to just be with it and accept that it's going to be there for a little while, because it's teaching you something. I mean, I literally have been triggered in the past couple of weeks, and I've been like, oh shit, this is like serious stuff that I need to think about and be peaceful with. You know, I even told one of my friends last week, I woke up and I was really sad, and I knew that something was moving through. And I went in my room and I was like trying to just ignore it. And then I was like, okay, we need to call it in. We need to surrender. What is this? What do I need to deal with? Like, what's happening? And I felt really sad. There were some things that I was working through, past pain. And I went in my room and I was like, I've never actually screamed in a pillow. So let's scream in a pillow. So I was screaming in the pillow, like, ah, you know, at the top of my lungs. And I'm screaming in my pillow. And then I'm like crying, and it's like pushing the sobbing out. And I'm screaming in my pillow, and then I'm crying, and I'm doing it over and over again. And it's like speeding up the process, because I'm literally just in full surrender to how sad I was feeling. I was like, okay, this is awesome. I'm sort of a weirdo that way, because I feel like I am such a spiritual badass. Like, I don't want to take things too seriously. So I'm like, okay, whatever this sadness is, let's scream in the pillow and then cry. Scream in the pillow and then cry. So that went on for like, might have been 45 minutes. And then I was like also like texting my friends and like talking. And then I was like, okay, I need to respect my sadness process. So as I was doing it, I like got to the point where I felt like, okay, whatever was sad that I invited in and surrendered to was now like pretty much gone, because the next time I was like, okay, one more scream. And then I screamed in the pillow and it was like, ah, at the top of my lungs. And as I screamed in the pillow, I started hysterically laughing. And all I could think was, okay, so whatever sadness I had, I just, like a spiritual badass, I surfed it right out. I felt terrible. It wasn't a big deal. Like, that's part of the human experience. And then I got to the point where I transmuted it so freaking high that I was laughing like a madman. And I'm thinking to myself, my neighbor's probably like, you know, she seems like a really nice girl, and I don't know what all that screaming is about. And now she's laughing, and like, maybe she's okay, or maybe I should go over there and get her. So I literally was like laughing, because I'm thinking these people probably think that like I'm so crazy because I'm usually so quiet. So that was really funny. But if you haven't ever tried it, when you feel sad or anger and when something needs to be released so you don't hold it in and get sick, scream in the pillow. It is so badass, and it is actually fun. So I feel like now when I'm sad, I'm so ready for the screaming in the pillow and the laughing, because I transmuted it to the point where I was back in love, and I was like love or above, and I felt so good. And then I went to my friend's house and we had an amazing day. Went to the park. You know, when I first started to feel sad, I was like, oh God, I don't want to leave my house. Like, I feel terrible. Like, what's going on? It's going to be one of those days I just have to embrace it. I can't, like, you know, just ignore it, because that's really unhealthy. When we hold things in and we ignore things, we make ourselves sick. And that's the root cause of so many illnesses. So we need to be able to know that we're powerful and surf through it, and know that you can ask a friend. You know, if you're feeling sad, talk to a friend, or just go and sit with it. But don't make things a big deal when they're not really a big deal. Again, if someone, you know, is gone or struggling, or you see suffering, or someone passes away, that's so different. But the everyday stuff is not that big of a deal. And when you surrender, you can have so much more energy to help other people and do things, and just go out and live your life, you know, and surf all day. So that was my big download. And I feel like that was just so important to really think about emotions, to feeling them, freeing them, and surfing, and to not be scared and build things up in your mind, because it's really not scary. We are here, and we need to remember that we're here, and that we're powerful, and that we can be peaceful, and that we can have presence, you know, and be present with what we're feeling. And in conversations, you know, the more peaceful we are, the more we can connect with people, and we can actually listen to what they're saying and really process it. So I love you all. And I just want to leave you with that. Hopefully that resonated and that like pumped you up, and you're feeling good, and you're like, yeah, man, I have a plan for these emotions and this, like, you know, getting so crazy about it. You're going to surf. Like, you've got your surfboard, you've got your tools, you've got like a fancy bikini, and you're ready to just surf over it, and you're so excited about life and what's going to happen and what's going to throw at you, because you know that you can surf. So I love you all, and I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I'll be back with something else. Something will float in that I'll feel will be important, and I'll be back next Thursday or Friday. And I love you all. In love we know, in love we flow.